over to Ron Kuby, who also represents me, another legendary, well, he's, yeah. Here you go, Ron.
Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you. And thank you all for showing up for the season finale of the longest running Chevron production, Demonize Donziger. It was Chevron that wanted to go to Ecuador, where they knew they had a favorable corporatist government. It was Chevron that wanted to go to a place where the outcome would be dictated by politics rather than the law. And it was Chevron Corporation that made promises to the U.S. courts that it had absolutely no intention of keeping. I don't know, with that background, how you promote respect for the law today.
I want to introduce the one and only and great Roger Waters, friend of Ecuador, friend of justice.
I didn't send this letter to Judge Prescott because I knew it would go straight in the bin. And so, here we go. This is what I wrote on September the 11th. Most letters start with the prefix dear. This one doesn't, Judge Prescott. Sorry to shout. If I may, I shall address you using the name your parents gave you. So, Loretta, where to start? First, an explanation of why there is no dear before your name. Well, I was in court recently when you presided over the so-called trial of Stephen Donziger, who was being privately prosecuted at the behest of your colleague, Judge Lewis A. Kaplan, on contempt of court charges. Your handling of the proceedings was execrable. You deserve no dear in front of your name. I feel no warmth towards you. You are not dear to me.
Nathalie Segovia. Nathalie is a lawyer who is the legal director of the Water Protectors Legal Collective in Arizona that dedicates itself to protecting indigenous rights and protest and free speech in the United States. And she's also a member of our appellate team, the team that's going to appeal this conviction by Judge Prescott in a non-jury trial.
787 days is what Stephen Donziger has spent on house arrest, pre-trial, pre-conviction. Today is the day of sentencing. And normally, as Ron Kuby mentioned, it would be a day when we would expect there to be justice, where the courts would dole out some semblance of, a modicum of sense and common sense. And we're hoping that maybe Loretta Prescott will see something like that today. We're not holding our breath. And so that's why we're prepared to continue to fight. We're prepared to continue to struggle as long as it takes, as much as it takes. And we're here. We're here. We're still here. We are all still here. And we will continue to stand with Stephen Donziger because he needs the support. And he's supported the indigenous peoples and communities that he's represented for over 20 years.
Woo! Hello, my name is Avery Sun. I'm a 11-year-old climate activist. First, I would like to say I'm so mad what Monster Chevron has gone away with by getting Stephen Donziger put under house arrest now for 787 days. Kids like me know that grown-ups like Stephen Donziger are people to look up to because they know right from wrong. Chevron is one big wrong.
It's really hard, I think, for all of us who've known him for so long. You know, I can attest to the fact that, he really, as one else talked about, the love for the law and how excited we were to get into the law and really fight for justice. And then flash forward to right now, I wrote a letter basically begging this judge not to jail like a piece of my heart like this morning. And so I'm not going to get emotional standing on a podium, but I just want to say that, this is about a person too. And, we have to really keep that in mind.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. It's sort of hard to explain, but when you see this energy, and I want to thank my wife, Laura Miller, and my son, Matthew, who's 15, just started high school. When you see this energy, it really has a palpable physical effect on the psyche. It's just amazing. Like, to be able to absorb this and then go into what we have to face right now is enormously helpful, and we're so grateful. They are attacking Stephen Donziger to attack the indigenous peoples of Ecuador who had the courage and tenacity and sophistication and determination to win a multi-billion-dollar pollution judgment against one of the worst polluters in world history, the Chevron Corporation, which, by the way, for those who don't know, deliberately, okay, this was not an accident, they deliberately decided to dump toxic waste on a systematic basis over a period of 25 years, 16 billion gallons in total, onto indigenous ancestral lands to save $2 or $3 a barrel of oil produced. That's what they did.
Just one thing after another, he wasn't afforded a jury or any type of trial. The fact that, I mean, I've never heard of a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor, refusing to take this case, and then the judge basically offshores it to a private prosecutor who has ties to the Federalist Society, which is funded by Chevron. So all around, he wasn't afforded a jury. The longest a human rights attorney or any attorney has been under house arrest in New York was 90 days. He's been under house arrest for 780 days, which is over 200 years. No jury, just one thing after the other. And
three of his birthdays under house arrest now. Right. 3 consecutive birthdays.
Right.
The Chevron-owned judge has her name on the building. It says the Loretta A. Prescott entrance on this federal court building. It should say this is the Chevron entrance.
Basically, this isn't something that's over for the Ecuadorian people.
No, it's not something that's over. The trauma is it's going to be generational. There were people that were affected by the oil drilling, and these are scars that people are going to have to live with. And anytime we have big corporations do something like that, they haven't been held responsible in doing the proper cleanup and paying these penalties. And, you know, they have the money to do so. They just don't. They rather engage in this witch hunt against an attorney who's really doing a good job for the people, and you know that's where we are right now.
Unable to travel, leave his home except under court supervision with permission, usually given 48 hours in advance. Unable to go out for dinner. Unable to have a father capable of doing all the things a normal father can do and should do with a child, including act with spontaneity. Like wake up and say, hey, it's beautiful out. Let's drive over to Jersey and go watch the Giants. Can't do that. I think by any objective measure, I've already been punished quite severely for a Class B misdemeanor. Although I'm not an expert in federal criminal law, I believe it's the lowest level offense in the federal system. I have no money. I mean, I think I have a potential to earn money, but right now, I don't have a bank account. So I ask you, humbly, might that be enough punishment already for this level of offense?
This case is not about relitigating the case in Ecuador or even about the merits of the civil proceedings before Judge Kaplan. It is only about Mr. Donziger's disobedience of Judge Kaplan's orders. It's clear from Mr. Donziger's comments today, and indeed from the record at trial, that Mr. Donziger does not regret what he did and he did not do before the proceedings before Judge Kaplan. In Mr. Donziger's view, his client's, apostrophe, cause is righteous, and Chevron is a behemoth trying to crush them. But let's get one thing straight. Even if Chevron is the bad guy in Mr. Donziger's eyes, that does not make Mr. Donziger the good guy. Mr. Donziger is not here because he took on Chevron on behalf of his clients. Rather, he is here as a direct result of his own actions and inactions, his years-long defiance of Judge Kaplan's orders. Mr. Donziger's conduct was a pattern of contumacious behavior that bore out over the better part of a decade. In our system of laws, it was the most serious offense. Following court orders is the foundation of our legal system.
Tell us.
And it is all that separates us from trial by combat. Indeed, Mr. Donziger's offenses are extremely serious. Given Mr. Donziger's repeated, willful refusal to obey court orders, it seems that only the proverbial 2x4 between the eyes will instill in him any respect for the law.
Wow. Wow.
So deterring Mr. Donziger from similar conduct in the future requires, in the court's view, a serious punishment. In sum, Mr. Donziger has spent the last 7+ years thumbing his nose at the U.S. judicial system. It's now time to pay the piper. Accordingly, it is my intention to impose a sentence of 6 months imprisonment.
This movement that started to support Stephen and to fight Chevron in all their disgusting machinations by hiring these two appalling federal judges in this building here, Kaplan and Preska. Okay, they are going to find their match, and their match is in Stephen Donziger, but it's also in the rest of us. The rest of us will stand shoulder to shoulder. We're not going anywhere. If you want to fight on the ice, here we are. We're all putting our skates on, as they said in court today.
But the world always saw the United States as a bastion of a judicial system that actually adhered to the rule of law. And what I've learned through this particular case is when you challenge entrenched interests to such a degree that they feel a level of risk of the type that Chevron feels, which is a multi-billion-dollar risk, they can actually have the power to capture parts of our federal judiciary.